During my time with the city, we renovated 60 homes for people with low income or fixed income, and it was literally one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. There is nothing better than seeing your work helping a number of people that couldn't do it on their own.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Brandon Sears with Guaranty Bank Trust. I have a special guest here to my left. We invite you to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We're doing a series on why Guaranty. I think that's very important for us to be able to share for our viewers. And I want to introduce to you someone very special to my left, John. How's it going?
Great.
Good. With me, I have John Robinson. He's the Houston area chairman. And I'd like to get him to talk a little bit about himself. So, John, what is your role? What does Houston area chairman mean? And how does that tie into Guaranty Bank and Trust?
So Houston area chairman, as that Houston area chairman, my role is to oversee the locations in Houston and Conroe. And what that means to me really is I get to help a bunch of fantastic people do fantastic things in our communities.
That's great. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What would be something fantastic in the community for you that you get to see?
So we have a number of outstanding customers in our community, and they're extremely varied. So we have, Houston's a huge community in and of itself, as you know, it's a big city, and our bankers represent a wide swath of that community. And it has been my pleasure to get to know them and to work with them and to help them to do the things that they do in our community, to help our customers, and to help the bank grow.
Yeah, that's pretty rewarding to see when you get to see it at a blanket level for such a large area, as I'm sure that you're probably aware. What was the reason you pursued banking, and kind of how has that evolved over time?
Some years ago, and back in the dark ages before electricity when I was in school, my degree really is more along the lines of management of manufacturing processes, and is very technical. And as I was interviewing with large companies for my first real job out of school, I realized I was not completely sold on what I wanted to do. And I had a very close friend who gave me some great advice. And he said, if you're not 100% sure, he said, my recommendation is go work for a bank because you get to see everything. You get to be involved in all different types of businesses, and you can choose your direction from there. I took his advice. That was 40 some odd years ago, and I never looked back. I absolutely love the variety and the different opportunities I get to work with customers and the communities, and I wouldn't change a thing. As far as Guaranty, I can think of no better place to actually use those skills that I've gained over time in a place that is so involved in their communities as Guaranty is. So that's really, that's where I always wanted to be, and I'm very pleased that I found a position where I can do those things.
Yeah, it's interesting to see unfold. So I've been able to work now in 3 different communities for Guaranty Bank, and the banking industry is, in general, you have to be an expert kind of in multiple different industries just to be able to make solid decisions and make sure that you're not taking undue risk. But then also you get to learn multiple communities if you've been in multiple communities or the community that you've been in your entire career. You have to be an expert on that too. So there's a lot of challenges that I'm sure you see with being an expert in all the different things that you have to do as a great generalist of a banker, especially as an area chairman.
And it's a good point. One of the things I've learned over time is that our customers are brilliant at what they do, but they're not experts in everything. And they need people that can advise them, and in some cases just hold their hand as they get through opportunities or different challenges in their business. And that's really what a good banker does. And that's why I love this role so much.
That's great. The main focus of what we're trying to do here is focus on your why. And what I mean by that is, what is your why proposition for why you do what you do, as well as how you're able to integrate that into Guaranty Bank?
Well, my why for me is simple. I love working with people. And whether it be bankers or customers I really enjoy that part. And if I can help somebody achieve a goal or exceed a goal, that's my goal. And I'm very fortunate. I've had a number of roles over the years in which I've had an opportunity to do that. And I really think Guaranty is the place I was always destined to be to do that. As you well know, our bankers are so incredibly involved in their communities and they're so involved with their customers. I can think of no better place to do that. And I thoroughly enjoy it. So the why for me is I get to work with wonderful people every day, whether they're bankers or customers. That gets me out of bed in the morning, and I'm in a hurry to go to work. That tells me I'm in the right spot.
Yeah, I told my son once what I did, and he had a career day that he had to tell him. He's third grade. What he wanted to be when he grew up, and he said he wanted to be a banker like his dad, and he told me that. And riding on the way home from school, I asked him, "Do you even know what I do?" He goes, "No." And I said, "Well, basically, I eat rubber chicken and go to meetings." And he said, "Is that really all you do?" And I told him, "No, it's much more than that." So I think the outside world a lot of times sees, us at meetings or, maybe with a sport coat on, and they don't really see what's underneath the sport coat or between the ears of what we're trying to do on a day-to-day basis. So I do think that why is super, super important. So that brings me to my next question. What does Community Banking Month mean to you?
So Houston is a very large community made up of much smaller communities. And I think this is an opportunity for us to look at the communities in which we serve and look at the communities that are important to our customers and important to our employees and make sure we're doing the right things, make sure we're involved, make sure we're investing our time, effort, and money in the places that mean something to the people that mean something to us. And in Houston, that is a very wide variety of opportunity. So this is an opportunity for us to really be strategic and look forward and say, what can we do? And where do we want this to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, and start those mechanics rolling now. We're already extremely involved in the community. All of our employees are very involved in the community, which is absolutely a wonderful thing to watch. But really looking forward and saying, where do we need to be and where should we be so that we're addressing the importance of the communities for our customers and for our employees, because it is a very important and very critical part of our role as bankers, and it's very critical for our customers as well. So it's really a strategic opportunity for us to determine where we want to be.
Do you have a favorite impact with the organizations that we work with for the Houston area? What I mean by that is I don't want you to identify a specific organization because we do give money to a lot of them.
We do.
But is there a particular group or impact that you're proud to say that you support in the Houston area?
I don't know if I could get it down to one, to be honest with you. But there are several that we support that I really am amazed by how much good is done. And there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of organizations that I think we would be proud to participate with. There is one particular that I recently got a chance to learn about and become involved with through one of our folks. And they find people with extraordinary talents that have had a tough time for whatever reason, and they put them to work, and they find them a place to live. And, if you look at it from the surface, this is just another story, right? But as you dig into it, you realize these are extraordinary people. And it proves the point that if these people can find tough times, anybody can. And so I'm thrilled to death that we get to do things like that. I'm thrilled that that's on our radar. And I'm thrilled that that is a point for this bank to be a part of that community and to make these people whole. Mm-hmm. And we play a big part in that.
That's great. Can you tell me a favorite time you were able to help a customer and what that meant to you?
So back when I was a young banker, one of the first opportunities I had to manage a large location and a large number of people came about a little bit unexpectedly. And when I got into the office, the first thing I said was, who are our customers? Who do I need to meet? And the lady who was assisting me said, there is one particular person you need to meet right away. She wouldn't tell me about him, but she said, it's important that you meet him. I went out, and this business was a shuttered up gas station in an industrial park. And so I knocked on the door and was let in. And what on the surface was a very unappealing situation turned out to be a manufacturing facility where they made parts for the space shuttle. And it was all a ruse, so it didn't show up on anybody's radar. It was highly secret. I had to sign a non-disclosure. And for a young banker to realize, wow, this is what's out there. This is the opportunity. And this particular customer was in trouble, and they needed help, and I was able to help them, and they were customers for many, many, many years till they retired. I probably built I did build a huge book of business just from that one particular customer. And it really taught me the lesson, don't judge a book by its cover. And if you do right by a customer, they will always do right by you. And that set the stage for the rest of my career.
One of the things that I think about is, just one of the core values that I think is so dear to our bank. And to me, the word sticks out: integrity. When you take off the folds of the covers of the book and you look into actually what that can do for individual people and groups. Mm-hmm. I do think that you're able to build a huge foundation on that. And I'm glad that you were able to identify, something like that, an assistance like that, and at such a young age, because I know it's made an impact on the greater Houston area.
It's been wonderful.
How has Guaranty Bank enabled you to thrive in your roles?
Well, I feel that the past 32 years has really put me in a position to do this. As I mentioned, I love working with people. That's what gets me out of bed every day. And this is the first role in my career that I've taken where I didn't have to fix it. I get to support wonderful people doing wonderful things. And, for me, this has been the culmination of a lot of work and a lot of time and effort, and it's been so worth it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, what about community initiatives? What is one of the top community initiatives that you've been involved with?
So I had an opportunity some years back to call on a city, and I was not accustomed to doing that. I hadn't worked with cities before, but I called on the city manager, and I just walked into her office and I said, "What can I do to help?" And she said, we really have a problem with an aging population. And this aging population is on fixed income. They have an aging home base. The real estate is old. It's in some cases dilapidated. And we have to figure out what to do. We know we need to help them, but we don't know how to do it. And I helped them write the city plan to renovate and to help this particular group of elderly residents. And we ended up with an excellent plan that the city to this day still uses. And I think during my time with the city, we renovated 60 homes for people with low income or fixed income, some on city grant, some we used a guaranteed loan process. And it was literally one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And it was really the first time I had the opportunity to be very, very involved in the community. And it taught me a lesson that there is nothing better than seeing your work helping a number of people that couldn't do it on their own. And I was very blessed to do it. I felt I was very honored to be chosen to help them write that policy and that program. And it is one of the proudest things I've done in my career.
That's great. So you have an interesting perspective. You've had roles with much larger institutions, mm-hmm. and you've had roles with community banking as well. Can you talk about the difference between the community banking aspect of who we are and maybe the obstacle that it is to be able to do those same community involvement things with some of those larger institutions? Is there a
Sure.
difference to you?
Sure. Today, larger institutions are very rigid in their processes. And many times you do not have the opportunity to sit back and say, what's the right thing to do here? Where At Guaranty, we absolutely do. We can make the choice to do the right thing, to do it the right way, and with community involvement, that's a focus with Guaranty Bank and community banks. It's an understood with large banks, but it's not a focus, in my opinion, in my experience. So for me, this has been an opportunity to do those things that I love to do.
What about an opportunity you may have had at a larger institution, but you were prohibited, that you would be it would be facilitated at a community bank that you think that you could have community impact?
Well, one of the examples I'm thinking of is previous in my career, I worked for a smaller bank. And because of my involvement in the city, we won the city's business, even though we didn't bid for it. They chose us to be their bank and to help their several thousand employees with their banking needs because of our involvement in the city and because we truly cared. As I worked for larger and larger institutions, I found that the ability to be directly involved was much more infrequent and much more difficult to accomplish. And now that I'm with a bank like Guaranty, where this is truly a focus of my role, I'm very excited to see what we can actually do. I know that the employees in Houston have done an absolutely marvelous job at working with the community. My job is to be the face of the bank in the community, and I'm excited to do those exact same things. Hopefully we can take this on a bigger scale.
Where would you like to see Guaranty Bank in Houston in 5 years?
I'd like to see us as a major player community bank in Houston. I don't think we need to be the biggest bank in the world, but I think we need to keep our character, we need to keep our transparency, and we need to remember what made us great and keep that, but just make it available to more people.
I think, do you agree that a large part of that will be our culture as we're able to share it?
100%. The reason I work for this bank is because of that culture. And when the first person I met from Guaranty Bank, I sat down and had a good conversation. Within 10 minutes, I knew I was going to work for this bank. I said, if this person represents what this bank is about, I'm in. And I think that as people get to know us in the Houston market and they see what our culture is about and they get a chance to meet our people and understand what we're about as an organization and as members of that Houston community, I think they'll want to bank with us too.
And you're not just a number, right?
We're not a number.
Yeah. The customer is truly a customer. I do feel like, I don't want to give everybody my cell phone number, but a lot of people have access to me directly now. And
they can find us.
Yeah, they can absolutely find us. And I do think that personal touch we still offer is unique as the banking world continues to shrink and becomes more process-oriented. I do feel like having a person on the other end, especially when it comes to your livelihood, whether that's $500 or much more, that's someone's livelihood, and you want to be able to have a personal connection with that.
Yep. And I think that's one of the main differences too between a bank like Guaranty and a large bank. I've run teams on both sides, and I can tell you that it's very difficult to have those kinds of relationships with your customers when you have 3,000 of them. Mm-hmm. At Guaranty, our portfolios are small. We know our customers. We know everybody that walks in the door. And more importantly, they know us. That's the place I want to be.
John, thank you for being here, and it's great to know what you're doing in the Houston area. Thank you again for tuning in, and if you want to know more about Guaranty Bank and Trust, please go to the website, gnty.com, learn more about John, what we're doing in the Houston area, and thank you for watching.
Produced by Podcast Architects.